I wonder at this particular time, why is there so much discussion around this topic? Why now?
It started with RFK back before the election. He did a lot of talkings about seed oils and chemicals and dyes in our foods, did some YouTube videos, got a lot of attention going. It just resonated with Gen Zs, millennials, that particular group of our population. It really resonated with. And I think lots of people, podcasters and influencers, started doing their own little research and said, there's a lot of truth here. And it kind of exploded on Instagram and TikTok. A lot of people were discussing seed oils and the perils of eating too many of them. Check the label. Crackers, snack foods, bakery goods, almost everything you buy in a package or a box has seed oil in it. I'm always so surprised because I'm at a health food store. I'm looking at a box of crackers. You look at energy bars, there are seed oils oftentimes. You look at granola, breakfast cereals, on and on it goes. And how about the mayonnaise and the salad dressings? There are just a few brands of crackers, few brands of salad dressings that don't have seed oils. Everything else does. This is another thing that people talk about a lot. The high heat, like 500 degrees or over, that creates toxic byproduct. How about the hexane, that toxic chemical that's used to extract the last little bit of oil out of the seed? It's a dangerous, toxic chemical. And
Is something standing between you and your happiness? It was for me. I had to face my depression and the constant negative self-talk. Therapy helped me realize I deserve to be happy. That's why this podcast is called I Choose Health, because I made the choice to heal and I want to share that with you. As a gift to you, we've partnered with BetterHelp as our sponsor to help you start your own healing journey. We all face moments when life feels overwhelming, whether it's stress, anxiety, or just feeling stuck. Talking to someone can make a real difference. And that's where our sponsor BetterHelp comes in. BetterHelp offers professional online therapy that's convenient, affordable, and entirely on your schedule. You can connect with a licensed therapist by video, phone, or even chat, whatever works best for you. Let our sponsor BetterHelp support you on your journey to better mental health. You can get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth. That's betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth for 10% off your first month. Take the first step toward feeling better today.
As a teenager, I decided to live better, so I gave up the meat, eggs, and cheddar. At 20 and 30, I wanted more, so I strengthened my mind and my core. Living a life that is healthier and wealthier because I choose health.
So, this is a topic we've covered before on the show. We've also covered it on a live stream as well. And I think since RFK has been in, his particular position, this topic has taken a lot of interest, right, on seed oils and whether or not it's safe, whether or not we're making a big deal about it. And, I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of RFK, but I do think that some of the things he is doing is bringing attention to, certain things within our society, within health that we're probably not paying attention to. And
Right.
so, I'm excited to have our guest today who knows the truth about these seed oils. And I want to welcome who she used to be referred to as the QVC lady. I have Cherie Calbom on the show with us today. Cherie Calbom, welcome to the I Choose Health podcast.
Thank you. It is great to join you. And I love our topic. Of course, I spent a lot of time researching it and writing a book about it, The Truth About Seed Oils. So I'm really happy to dive in. And I agree, RFK Jr. has done a lot to bring our attention to some topics that have just been silent for decades. And we need to look at them and see what's the truth about all of this, what's really going on.
Mhm. Now, I've been wondering as well, like, I wonder at this particular time, why is there so much discussion around this topic? Why now?
Well, it started with RFK back before the election, and he did a lot of talking, about seed oils and chemicals and dyes in our foods, and did some YouTube videos and got a lot of attention going. And it just resonated with Gen Zs, millennials, that particular group of our population. It really resonated with. And I think lots of people, podcasters and influencers, started doing their own little research and said, yeah, there's a lot of truth here. And it kind of exploded on Instagram and TikTok. A lot of people were discussing seed oils and the perils of eating too many of them. And it's just continued to pick up momentum. It hasn't shrunk back. It was picking up momentum before RFK, but when he came on the scene, it really got some attraction. So I'm excited to delve into this topic today because there is a lot of confusion. Lots of people I talk to don't know, what are the seed oils? Why are they called that? So we'll just go into that.
So Cherie, you are obviously an expert on the topic in regards to seed oils, and you wrote a book called "The Truth About Seed Oils." And I guess people may be asking, are there safe seed oils? Yes. And what should we avoid and why?
So first of all, people ask all the time, what are they? What are seed oils? And is there a difference between seed oils and vegetable oil? No, they're one and the same. In about 2010, the name was changed to seed oils from vegetable oil. And I believe it was done because vegetable oil really does not describe what these oils are. They're made from seeds. So this is a more appropriate name to be given to them. And why are they not good for us? That's the other thing that people ask me all the time. Well, which ones are not good? So we'll go over those. Corn, safflower, sunflower, canola. Canola is really bad because almost all rapeseed is genetically modified, GMO. Did I say soy? Grapeseed oil, rice bran oil, cottonseed oil. Those are the really destructive oils. They harm our bodies. And here's why. I'm going to go into a little biochemistry or chemistry right now, not biochemistry. They have double bonds that connect the carbons and the hydrogens. Whereas the fruit and nut oils like olive and coconut oil, avocado oil and so forth, well, almond and macadamia, and sesame, those have single double bond and aren't so easily broken. When you break those double bonds, you create free radicals, toxic byproducts like lipid peroxides and aldehydes, and those damage cells. They're very, very destructive. And then secondly, the oils that I named that we should avoid are high in omega-6 fatty acids. We do need some omega-6, definitely, but not in the proportion we're getting them. We're getting them in about 15 to 1 omega-3s, and we should not be going over 4 to 1. 1 to 1 is ideal, omega-6 to omega-3. We're way out of proportion. So if you would see a bar graph, we're way off the chart in what we're consuming. And why is that? Because restaurants love seed oils. They're easy to use. They're inexpensive. They can buy them in huge vats and not pay a fortune. So they're used for most restaurants for fried foods and salad dressings and food prep. And then check the label. Crackers, snack foods, bakery goods. Almost everything you buy in a package or a box has seed oil in it. I go to the store with my magnifying glass and I'm always looking at labels like what's in here. And I'm always so surprised because I'm at a health food store and I'm looking like at a box of crackers, right? And it says organic and gluten-free. And you would think they would have a good oil in there. Oh no, we've got safflower or sunflower oil. And how about the mayonnaise and the salad dressings? There are just a few brands of crackers, few brands of salad dressings that don't have seed oils. everything else does. And you look at energy bars, there are seed oils oftentimes. You look at granola, breakfast cereals, on and on it goes. Any prepared foods, frozen dishes that you would get, lots of snack foods that people just eat without even thinking and never look at the label, never think about it. Even popcorn and theater popcorn. All of this is just loaded with seed oil. So what does that mean? We're getting a huge proportion of omega-6 versus omega-3. And what does that do? It creates inflammation in the body. What does inflammation do? It's at the core, at the root of almost every disease you could name. In fact, every disease you could name, there's inflammation. So seed oils are setting us up in that respect for dis-ease in our bodies, and then also how they're made. And this is another thing that people talk about a lot. The high heat, like 500 degrees or over, that creates toxic byproduct. How about the hexane, that toxic chemical that's used to extract the last little bit of oil out of the seed? Well, it's a dangerous toxic chemical. And they say, well, don't worry about it because it just gets it just evaporates. It goes into the atmosphere. You aren't ingesting it. And I'm thinking, do I really believe that? A lot of people don't. And then there's degumming agents and all these other chemicals that are poured in there. It goes through about a 5-step process before that oil comes out into a bottle that's clear and odorless. Well, you may not taste anything and you may not smell anything, but I call it the silent killer because we've got tons of science in our book. I'm a co-author, so I say we have a ton of science in here that link seed oils to a host of diseases, illnesses, heart disease, cancer, metabolic disorders, dementia, Alzheimer's, anxiety, depression, and on it goes.
You know, I think this was a discussion that I remember having in our church as well about the different oils. And I remember at the time, this is almost maybe 10, 15 years ago, we were talking about like canola oil, right? And how bad it was for you. But then the general, I think, knowledge was that, avocado oil was pretty good and different types of seed oils. So if we had to put a list together of good seed oils and bad seed oils, I think I'll break this question down to 2 parts. Which list will be longer? And then like what does that list look like? Like, good and bad. Like, I know it's probably a very long list.
Well, the seed oils is longer for sure. And I'll go over that again, which oils are in the seed oil category. Corn and soy, safflower, sunflower, canola, grapeseed oil, rice bran oil, cottonseed oil, and peanut oil even falls into that category. The good oils, and they they aren't all seed oils. Some are fruit and some are nut oils and some are seed oils. So the good seed oils would be sesame oil, and you always want to buy that cold pressed. And flaxseed oil and hemp seed oil, those you wouldn't use for cooking, but definitely for cold use, drizzling on things, taking a tablespoon a day to up your omega-3s, which is good for your brain and your skin and your immune system and everything. And then the fruit oils like olive is a fruit oil, coconut is a fruit oil, avocado is a fruit oil, macadamia and almond are nut oils, of course, and those are all the good oils. And then there's some good fats as well. And they got demonized a lot. Like, oh, no butter ever, no beef tallow ever. And now we're discovering that those have no double bonds. They're very durable, and that's why some of the restaurants have switched over, like Steak and Shake has gone to using beef tallow for cooking fries. It's actually a good choice. It has not been shown at all to be unhealthy for the heart, but it's very, very durable. And then ghee, of course, which is oil of butter, is a very good oil to cook with as well. In our book, The Truth About Seed Oils, we talk about smoke point, and that is something to be very aware of. What is that? What does that mean? It means the temperature at which your oil would start smoking on the stove. If you put a tablespoon like of coconut oil and you got the heat up above smoke point, all of a sudden you would see smoke rising. Well, that's not a good thing. It means your oil is breaking down and creating toxic byproduct. Well, all of these processed oils, my goodness, their temperature has been 500 or above, and there's no escaping the toxic byproduct that is creating. So I always make everybody aware, though, be very careful when you are cooking with oils. How many times have we turned on the stove, whether it's the gas or the electric burner, and turned around just for a minute? It seemed, you're getting something, you're coming back, and boom, there's your oil smoking. You leave it very long, it could catch on fire. So we want to be careful of the oils that we use and check out the smoke point. We've got a whole list of smoke point for all the oils, and be very careful in your food prep and what you buy. It's so hard. We just can't control everything. And somebody said to me the other day, but I want to live, I want to go out with my friends once in a while. I want to go out to dinner. We just do our best. The worst to order out, unless you're at a place that's using beef tallow, would be fried foods. Whether it's fried chicken or fish, like fish and chips, things like that would be the worst. But we can make better choices. But we all live, and we're going to go out once in a while. And I said to the person who was interviewing me, don't worry about every time. It's what you do most times. It's what you do most days. And most days, most of us eat at home. There are some people who go through that drive-through way too much, breakfast and maybe lunch and maybe even dinner, bringing something home. And that's what you're really exposing yourself to, the seed oils. But once in a while, I'm not so worried about. It's what you do most days. Right. And you can control what you do by the oil you buy. Extra virgin olive oil, coconut oil, avocado oil, or almond or macadamia nut oil. Cook with those. And maybe ghee, oil of butter. And a little bit of butter is fine. A little bit of beef tallow is fine. We've come full circle to, buyer beware. They were saying, these are all going to give you heart disease, including coconut oil at one time. It was just really bad information, to where we are today. Truth is getting out, like on your show.
And, I was wondering as well, because I've been hearing the term, genetically modified. What impact would things like GMOs have on the quality of certain seed oils?
GMOs, horrible. There's definite links between genetically modified products and cancer. They're cell disruptors. They hit our body with a toxic product. They're a toxic product at the cellular level. And so we want to avoid GMO product as much as you possibly can. Just get it out of your diet. That's where you do not want canola oil at all, because it is such a big GMO crop, and soy oil. And those two are used probably the most, I would say, at fast food restaurants. Soy is another huge GMO product, and it is in so many products that we eat. It's because it's cheap. Soy crop is big. GMO soy crop is huge. 90% is estimated of our food supply is GMO soy and GMO rapeseed, which is canola. And so we want to get those completely out of our diet. The sad part is both of those at one point were really advertised as super healthy, right? And restaurants had on their menu, cooked only with canola oil. And I'm going, yikes, this is not healthy. This is not something to brag about. I've not seen that so much anymore, but there are some restaurants still that have it in their menu. We used only canola oil. And I'd say, oh my goodness, switch to olive oil, please, or coconut oil or avocado oil. But as we become more aware, all of us, about the truth, then we can start making our voices heard. I would say vote with your dollar, buy only good stuff, mention things in restaurants. It's good to just talk about it. We can be nice about it, but we can talk about it and even mention it to our server at a restaurant. Like, I don't want to eat canola oil. Maybe they could use a different oil, to make my food, like olive oil.
As you were talking about asking the server about, using a different oil, I wonder as well on a collective level, if we could, make a request, that certain restaurants, switch over to certain oils. And I get it. For a lot of restaurants, it's going to be probably a significant cutback in terms of, they're probably going to have to spend more money, getting, more quality oils. But, if the demand is high enough, obviously they're going to have to make that adjustment.
They will. Money talks, right? And they want, in the end, to please their customer, or their customer isn't going to come back. So, yes. And I think collectively, even groups, like you said, your church group was talking about these things, could organize a letter writing campaign, or maybe one letter with signatures that would make a statement. But we have some major fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, that we could contact them. And I have talked with one large fast food restaurant chain, and I was told, and I sure understand, to turn that big ship takes time, planning, and money allotted for that. So, when you have your 2-year supply ordered already of oil, it's hard to go back and make a change, but they can begin working toward the future. And I really believe that if they felt they were going to lose a large share of their customers, they would start working on making a change. And certainly we can do it. And I believe too that when they start ordering things in bulk, like avocado oil, for example, to cook the fries, which does have a very high smoke point, the cost will come down because volume, and as producers step up their production, I believe the cost would come down.
I'm curious to know who else benefits from the seed oils, right? Because I know restaurants obviously do because of the low cost. And I think we've gone accustomed now to wondering, whether or not the medical industry is involved in something, or the dairy industry, or meat industry. So I wonder if there are any industries apart from the restaurant industry that stand to gain from the consistent use of seed oils.
Well, I know for sure food manufacturers do. Um, Snack foods, crackers, chips, baked goods, anything packaged, breads, they all benefit from cheap oil. And shelf stable, you don't have to refrigerate it, just bring it in, put it on the shelf, pour it in your product. So they are all definitely benefiting from this, along with the restaurants. I don't know about any other industries in particular that would benefit, except maybe sugar in some way. Sugar and oil seem to go together for a lot of products, a lot of desserts and bars and snack things that are sweet. So perhaps they benefit in that way. But writing even to companies, like your favorite chip company or a snack food company, and saying, we request that you make a change. And they can definitely do that. It's not going to happen overnight, although it seemed to with Steak and Shake. It was January of last year. Boom. RFK was in office, and they made that change that month in January. They are a smaller food restaurant chain, but they were able to make that change pretty quickly. I don't know how long they've been planning that, but it seemed to roll out pretty quickly. So it might surprise us how fast. If manufacturers thought this could improve my bottom line and I could be first out front, I'm the first cracker company to make it known I'm making this change, or the first chip company or snack food or cereal, always first to market. Gets a lot of promotion, a lot of press. So maybe we'll pique someone's interest just by saying that.
Cherie, I'm wondering about you as well, because, I wonder if this is a field that you've always, studied and worked in, been interested in, because as, we said at the beginning of the podcast, you were known as the QVC lady, right? So I was wondering if there was a specific shift or this was always a focus of yours.
It's been a focus for a long, long time. In the early 2000s, I wrote the book, The Coconut Diet, when coconut oil was demonized. You could not find it hardly anywhere. Little jars, very small, and you paid quite a bit, relatively speaking, at health food stores. And that was about it. And here's what happened with coconut oil. And I feel just so encouraged that I was one of about 3 authors that brought coconut oil back to the West. But here's what happened during World War II, when the ships couldn't get through the waters from Southeast Asia because of the war. The vegetable oil companies stepped up their production. Vegetable oil, seed oil, same thing. When the war ended, they did not want to lose their market share. So at the same time, very interesting, early 50s, heart attack started increasing. Nobody said what changed with the diet. Let's do autopsies, they said. Let's look inside the arteries. What happened? And they found cholesterol in those mounds that built up in the arteries. Nobody investigated, why did the mounds build up? What caused those lesions in the arteries, those wounds? Of course, scabs are going to form over wounds. Wounds in the arteries or wound on your wrist, whatever. And there's cholesterol in those mounds inside, and cholesterol will be in that scab on your skin if you cut yourself. So they identified cholesterol and said, well, it must be cholesterol. Nobody asked the common sense question, how could it suddenly be cholesterol when we've been eating this for centuries? We've been eating butter, beef tallow, animal products, eggs, on and on. We ate red meat. Why suddenly did all of this start causing heart disease? And why would coconut oil cause heart disease when people couldn't even get it during the war? It couldn't get through the waters. So to me, it's like, duh, we lost our brains. Not everyone did, though. There were people who did. Scientists, doctors did speak up, and they were drowned out. Who drowned them out? The seed oil companies. They hired scientists, doctors, promoters, influencers, lobbyists to promote their vegetable. They called it vegetable oil then because who doesn't want vegetables? They thought it was a very good term to roll out slick marketing ad campaigns. So they rolled those out like crazy after the war and said heart healthy and protect your heart and so forth with seed oils. Well, the small little tropical oil farmers and the coconut board of the Philippines or different islands of Southeast Asia didn't have the money to compete with that at all. So what happened? The farms got abandoned. People went into the cities to work. They lost their livelihoods. The seed oil companies stepped up their marketing and started making a ton of money and demonized anybody who spoke up with a common sense question. So different researchers, professors at universities, doctors that spoke up with a different point of view were suddenly shunned. They weren't given promotions. Their papers weren't published. They were ignored and shunned and badmouthed and pushed into the corner. Some of them lost their careers simply for speaking up and asking some of the common sense questions that I've proposed right now, like what really changed in the American diet and why suddenly would this cause problems? But they got run over by, I call it the steamroller of money. And seed oil is projected to be a $600 billion business by 2031.
Wow.
Try to compete with that. And here we are. We are doing that right now. We are a voice kind of crying in the wilderness, but they are not going to let go of their market share easily at all. This ship will not go down without a fight. And so that's where those of us who talk with our friends, people at church, coffee hour, our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, and just bring it up casually, Lots of people do have questions, and we've brought it up at dinner with friends eating out before, and people have been surprised, like, oh, I never knew that. That's the only way we'll change.
So when I was in college, I was a history of science major. And so obviously some of the things that would come up is obviously things in regards to health. And now I've always made a joke that now I'm a personal trainer. So life has an interesting way of shifting. But I've always wondered why there seemed to be so much bureaucracy around our food, right? I think there should be more of a care as to what goes in our bodies, and not necessarily who's regulating what can go in our bodies. So why is it that there's so much bureaucracy around our food, and is there a way that we can break free from that bureaucracy?
There is so much around our food because everybody has to eat, right? It's a big money maker. And these companies, like the seed oil companies, are making billions of dollars. And probably if we delved into it, many different companies that have very unhealthy packaged food items are making millions or billions. And so there are lobbyists and there are people who put together marketing campaigns to sway our thinking and to tell us, oh, it's just seeds and this won't hurt you. And these chemicals used in it, they all evaporate. And so what can we do about it? It's just got to be at a grassroots level, because trying to get out with legislation, that's a tough old road to travel with lots of opposition at high levels, in high places. But at the grassroots level, here we are. You're talking about it on your podcast. Lots of young people, Gen X's, millennial or Gen Z's in particular, and millennials are talking about it on TikTok and Instagram. And I keep being told it's getting more and more and more popular. And so as we spread the word, it's going to be a grassroots level. And that's what happened with trans fats. Pretty much trans fats are banned from packaged goods. Still, restaurants use Crisco and things like that. And so we're getting trans fats, but people are not buying it like they used to. They're checking for trans fats because we got that message out all across America at a grassroots level. You do not want trans fats in your diet. They're not heart healthy. They contribute to heart disease. So we do our part and we just keep talking about it, and we never, ever give up.
Well, Cherie, I want to thank you for this. It was definitely insightful. I think it's important for us to, dig deeper into the conversation. And also, I want you to share with our listeners where we can get that book as well, The Truth About Seed Oils. And then, there we go. Just let our audience know. And then also where we can connect with you via socials as well.
So my book is available on Amazon. You can go there, order it right away. It will be, first copies will be here any day. And you can learn a lot of truth. And you can contact me I'm also known as the Juice Lady, known for my juicing, at juiceladyinfo.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Juice Lady Cherie, Cherie. I would love to connect with you, give you a free gift if you come to my website, and get you signed up so you can get free recipes and be aware of upcoming events as well. Anything to do with seed oils, I'll keep you posted.
All right, well, Cherie, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate this. I'm looking forward to, future collaborations, but also to reading the book as well, learning more. So, really thank you for making yourself available today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Happy, whatever day it is.